KATC Weather Lab. Here's Rob's forecast.
Welcome back. Well, a stormy one across the area today as we had a couple of systems kind of interacting across the region. Torrential downpours, a lot of cloud to ground lightning. Still got some of that going on in earshot of Acadiana, but most of the activity locally quieting down for now. First off, though, let's take a look at our weather shot courtesy of Justin Terro in around the Broussard area. And boy, skies got threatening fast. It started off like every other day going back to the weekend. Stifling hot, mostly sunny skies, but as expected, the storms came in today and they produced some deluges as well. So here's the big picture as we look across the Gulf of Mexico. You can see the activity really firing up nicely all the way from the Florida East Coast back through southeast Texas. And for us locally, we had a little bit of a boundary disturbance right over southeast Louisiana offshore, and that kind of worked its way northward. Meanwhile, we've had colder air aloft, a little bit more instability aloft coming down southward from the upper parts of the atmosphere and northern Louisiana, and the two conspiring to produce these big storms that produce torrential downpours, gusty winds, and rainfall rates in the 2 to 4 inch range per hour. In some spots it did last for an hour. So let's take a look at the radars across the area. You can see they're busy from Houston all the way over to Mobile and across our region. Just over the last 6 hours, you'll see how the storms really got fired up across St. Mary Parish, then worked their way up through Lafayette Parish and Vermilion Parish. Now most of the activity appears to be dropping southward with a little bit of a frontal trough. It's not going to bring much cooler weather, but it's also going to enhance rain chances again tomorrow. Coastal parishes on southward, and then by Friday, most of that moisture moves offshore. Still some very intense storms across portions of Cameron and also Calcasieu Parish. I've been kind of watching some of the velocity data and showing some pretty gusty winds with this cell in around the Cameron area, not as organized as earlier, but we were showing the possibility of up to 40 to 50 mile-an-hour winds just a little while ago. What we look for is the big change between green and orange, and you can see that enhanced area of red. We had some interrogations that were close to 55 miles an hour, so some gusty winds, but those cells are weakening, and the rest of Acadiana starting to quiet down. Still some rain shower activity moving southward out of St. Landry into Lafayette parishes, and hit or miss showers. They'll likely continue for a good part of the evening. Here's our high-resolution rapid refresh model through this evening. Things quieting down after about 9 or 10 o'clock tonight, so still the risk of showers and some locally heavy showers, but nothing compared to what we saw this afternoon. Frontal boundary settling down along the coast, but not all of the moisture. Notice we start off pretty stable tomorrow morning into the afternoon, but then activity builds up, especially along and south of the I-10 corridor. That's why we'll keep rain chance at 40%. It's going to be much lower up toward Alexandria, where drier air is making some inroads. And then that front tries to come back, but the deeper moisture moves well offshore, and we see that on the European model with that deeper moisture moving out into the Gulf of Mexico. So Friday should be a relatively dry and hot day, and then this weekend that moisture returns. That means scattered storms returning once again. And next week looks relatively benign, but we are watching a tropical wave, a surge of moisture. Both the European model and the GFS model bring a feature into the Gulf of Mexico by about this time next week, and this could be a troublemaker, tropically speaking. We'll have to wait and see early in the game, but the models are fairly consistent, and the atmosphere might be ripe for something to develop in the Gulf of Mexico next week. So something that we'll watch. Impacts later next week, where to be determined. Showers diminishing slowly this evening. Should be quiet after midnight. 75 the low, 91 the high tomorrow, with rain chance at 40%, and then the break on Friday going into the weekend. Rain chances coming back up to 40% on Saturday rather, 60% Sunday, Monday, and going into next week, at least after Friday, not nearly as stinking hot as it's been over the last week or so.
Sure has.
With those heat indices way up there in mid to upper 90s. It was broiling in my backyard Monday and Tuesday, trying to get some work done.
You look like you got some sun.
I got, and that's just doing watering and getting inside, you know. Quick.
All righty. Thanks, Rob.